I'm Ashley Malik, and I help midlife moms to feel amazing using nutrition and mindset strategies that give you the healthy, happy, and confident life you've been striving for. After losing 65 pounds in perimenopause, tackling gut health issues, and surviving breast cancer, I've learned that health and wellness is so much more than just gathering information. Learning to rewire your brain and your thoughts lets you take all that valuable information and put it into action so that you actually get results. Here, you'll get strategies for eating healthy food without feeling deprived, systems for making nutrition work for you and your family, and steps to rewire your brain so that you never have to rely on motivation again. If you're ready to be healthy, have more energy, and thrive in midlife, you're in the right place. This is the Family Fork Podcast. Hi there, my sweet friend. I am so glad that you tuned in today because we are going to have some fun in this episode. Now, before we get started, I want to ask you a question. I just want you to get really honest with yourself as you think about the answer. When was the last time that you looked in the mirror, like really looked at yourself and didn't immediately start tallying up everything that you think is wrong? If you're anything like me or the hundreds of women I talk to every month, your morning ritual probably involves a little bit of like a body audit. You're looking at the way your jeans fit a little tighter across the middle than they did a few months ago. You're noticing that your skin around your eyes is really starting to tell the story of every laugh and every late night worry session that you've had over the last 10 years. Maybe you're feeling that puffiness in your fingers or that general sense of ugh, that just kind of settles in during perimenopause. And honestly, it kind of stays there. It is really easy to fall into this pattern of viewing your body as a project that needs constant fixing. You spend so much energy trying to figure out how to have less belly fat, less bloating, less brain fog, and you put all of your energy into trying to fix your body so that it can run the way it used to, right? I get it. I really, really get it. Our bodies are so different in midlife. The things that used to work, like the way we ate or exercised, the way we handled stress, it feels like the rules of the game have completely changed overnight. And now you may not even know what the rules are. But the reality here is that honestly, you get what you look for. So if you spend every single day looking for reasons to be frustrated with your body, if you're constantly hunting for evidence that your body is falling apart or it's making your life harder, your brain, it's going to find exactly that. You're going to find where your body is breaking down. You're going to find evidence of your age. You're going to find all the flaws. So what if you decided to look for something else? I I kind of had to learn this the hard way. So as many of you know, my journey over the last couple of years, it has not been a walk in the park. Between navigating a hysterectomy and then a breast cancer diagnosis, a double mastectomy, and now I'm on anti-estrogen therapy, my body, I promise you, has been through the ringer. There were a lot of days when I would look at myself and I did not recognize the woman in the mirror. I truly felt betrayed by my own body. I felt like I was falling apart and I was mad. I was angry that I couldn't get my body to work the way that it used to. But I realized that if I stayed in that place of frustration, I was never going to heal. I had to move away from trying to fix my body to actually thinking my body. I had to realize that this body, the one I was so frustrated with, is the same body that has carried me through 2 pregnancies, the same body that has worked late nights to build a business and a career, and that same body that fought through cancer and won. Your body has been carrying you for 40 or 50 years or more, and it's been your home through every high and every low. Today, I want to encourage you to take a pause from all of that frustration. We're actually going to talk about 7 really specific but really simple ways that I currently show my body a little bit of love. Now, these aren't expensive treatments, and they're definitely not going to take hours out of your already busy schedule. Think of them as little love letters to yourself, ways to appreciate where you are in this journey, even if it feels challenging. I really want you to walk away from this episode knowing that you have solutions that you can implement today to start feeling better. Not because you have reached your goal weight or because your hormones are perfectly balanced, but because you've decided to stop fighting your body and actually start showing up for it. So set aside your to-do list for just a few minutes and let's look at 7 different ways that you can start showing your body the appreciation that you deserve. Number 1 on the list, and this is a good one if you've been that person who you walk into a room and you completely forget why you were there. I want to talk about creatine. Now, before you tune out, because maybe you think creatine is just for those like 20-year-old gym bros, I want to tell you that I have been taking creatine for 3, maybe 4 years now. It has been an absolute game changer for my health in midlife. If you feel like your brain is sort of like a computer with all of these tabs open and half of them are frozen, you're probably dealing with that typical perimenopause brain fog. It's that awful feeling when you're in the middle of a sentence and the word that you need, it just evaporates. Or when you get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you feel like you've hit a complete wall. You're dropping words, you're losing your keys, and it just feels frustrating, right? It makes you feel like you're losing your edge or like you're getting old. So the beauty of creatine is that it's not just for muscles, which it is, but it's also for your brain. Your brain needs a lot of energy, and creatine gives it that quick access to the energy that it needs to function. Since I have been consistent with it over the last couple of years, the biggest difference I've noticed is not just in my physical strength. It's actually in that fog, the brain fog, it's lifted. I feel sharper, more online, and honestly, I just feel more like myself. So let's look at the logistics of creatine. For most women over 40, the typical recommendation is about 3 to 5 grams daily. It's usually just one little scoop of powder. It's tasteless. You can put it in your morning coffee or your protein smoothie, your water. You're just not even going to know that it's there. But there's actually a lot of research coming out specifically for women in midlife, suggesting that increasing your dose to somewhere between 7 to 10 grams a day can be even more supportive for your cognitive function and your bone density. And speaking of bone density, this is the love letter to your future self. You know, because I have breast cancer, I'm in recovery and I'm on anti-estrogen therapy, bone health is something that I am watching diligently. Estrogen is really protective for our bones, and as it dips in perimenopause and menopause, that means our risk for osteoporosis goes up. So by taking creatine and pairing it with strength training, you are just telling your body, I've got you. We are going to stay strong. We are staying sturdy. So think of it as like an insurance policy for your mobility. I mean, I want to be the grandma who gets to sit on the floor and play with our grandkids and not need help in getting back up off the floor, right? So as long as you've ruled out any other medical issues and you're feeling that it's just that like midlife slump, I encourage you to give creatine a try. Couple of my favorites, creatine monohydrate from First Form. It is completely flavorless and really easy to add to your morning protein or just drink it plain. The other one that I love is called Thrive On, which it's a creatine blend that is made specifically for midlife women. Thrive On has this like fresh kind of citrusy taste to it. So I'll link to both of those. They're both my favorites, and I'll link to both of those in the show notes. Creatine, thankfully, is one of the most researched, safest, most affordable supplements on the market. It's simple, it's easy. So make sure and start your creatine. Okay, number 2 on our list of ways to show your body some love is all about indulgence, but with a twist. I want you to find some small, tasty treats that you absolutely love, but that don't increase your inflammation. Now, I can hear some of you. I know what you're thinking. Ashley, if I start eating those treats, my body just wants more and more. So I really just have to stay away. But here's the thing. When you live in a state of constant restriction, your brain is going to rebel. You're going to feel deprived, and that feeling of deprivation, it feels stressful in your body. And when you're stressed, that spikes your cortisol. And when you have too much cortisol in midlife, it lands right in your midsection as belly fat. So when I say treat, I'm not talking about this like free for all of donuts or chips or candy bars that are actually going to leave you feeling sluggish and bloated an hour later. That's not the love we're looking for. That is only going to derail your efforts. I'm talking about really intentional, delicious snacks that make you feel special and pampered, but without triggering that inflammatory response that's going to make your joints ache and your energy plummet. Currently, one of my absolute favorite ways to show my body some love in the middle of a busy afternoon is with frozen banana bites. They're so simple, but they actually kind of feel like a high-end dessert. So I just take a really ripened banana, the ones that are starting to get brown, but they're perfectly sweet. And I either cut them into rounds, or if I'm feeling extra fancy, I'll mash them up and put them into little like silicone heart molds. So I freeze those. And while that's happening, I melt some high quality dark chocolate. Then I take out the frozen bananas, dip them into the chocolate, sprinkle on some flaked sea salt, and pop them back in the freezer. So when that afternoon slump hits and I am feeling so taxed out from my day, I can grab a couple of those little banana bites. They're cold, they're sweet, and they actually feel like a complete departure from health food, even though they're supporting my health goals. If you want the exact guide on how I make these, they are in my February bonus guide within the Supper Club. So if you're a member or you want to be, go check that out. I've linked to it in the show notes. But the trick here is the quality of the ingredients. You want things that are going to satisfy your craving without giving a desire for more unhealthy food. So we're looking for low sugar, high on flavor, but with zero guilt. So if banana bites aren't your thing, here are a couple of other things in my rotation. Hu salty dark chocolate, always. That I always have that on hand. And really, 1 or 2 squares is all you need so that your brain says, that was a nice treat. Protein cookie bites are another thing that I'm loving right now. You can keep them packed with protein so your blood sugar stays stable, but it actually tastes like you're eating raw cookie dough. So those are just delicious. And then another one of my favorites, if you're craving something salty and crunchy, look for grain-free pretzels. I found some at Sprouts recently and they're so good. So you get that salty, that crunchy, but without inflammatory gluten, which is something that can cause bloating and brain fog. So just imagine you have finished a back-to-back afternoon of meetings. You have to take kids to dance and lacrosse and back home again, and then you have to cook dinner. So instead of reaching for whatever your kids are eating or trying to find one of those like sugary or low nutrient granola bars that will just make you crash, I want you to have something tucked away in your pantry or your freezer that was made just for you. It's really your way of acknowledging, I am working hard today and I am going to enjoy a treat that tastes amazing and that makes me feel good. If you're struggling with some ideas for treats, I've got you. I have a free anti-inflammatory snack guide that I've linked to in the show notes, and it is filled with ideas that are quick, easy. You can buy them at the store, so it's definitely going to save you time. So choose 1 or 2 treats this week, keep them on hand, and the next time you feel that urge to get really frustrated with your body, give it a little bit of chocolatey anti-inflammatory love instead. Okay, number 3 on the list. And I really have to laugh about recommending this because if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would talk about this, I would have told you were crazy. So I want to talk about an Epsom salt bath. To be totally honest with you, for most of my life, I have not been a bath person. I actually kind of thought baths were gross. So every time I would buy a new house, I'd either replace the bathtub or clean it in the most like deep clean way you could imagine. I just couldn't stand the thought of like somebody else having been in there. So I never really got the appeal of a bath, and I definitely in my busy life didn't think I had time to just like sit there. But then when I had this journey through breast cancer and after going through treatment, I could feel that my body and my brain were in this constant state of like high alert. My nervous system, honestly, it was fried. I was holding in tension through my entire body. And I quickly started to realize if I didn't find a way to really consciously lower my stress levels, all of my health was going to continue to suffer. So last year, I went on a mission to discover the joy behind an Epsom salt bath. And I have to be honest, now I'm a convert. So when we talk about showing your body love in midlife, we can talk about your skin because your skin is your body's largest organ. So when you soak in that tub of hot water filled with Epsom salts and maybe some bubbles, you're not just relaxing, you're actually feeding your body. Epsom salts are made of magnesium. And so when you're in that water, your skin is absorbing all of that. The reality is that most of us are pretty deficient in magnesium, especially when we're stressed, which, sometimes that feels like every day. So, magnesium is a calm down mineral. It's going to regulate your nervous system, it's going to help your muscles recover, and it can even improve the quality of your sleep, which I know many of us need. Now, there are a million fancy like bath fizzies and bath bombs out there with glitter and flower petals. But because I focus on anti inflammatory, I just want you to be mindful. Your skin is going to absorb what you put in it. So if you are soaking in a bath fizzy that has artificial dyes and synthetic fragrances, you're actually just adding to your body's toxic load. So my go-to is a bag of Dr. Teal's Epsom salts, and I particularly like the lavender scented ones. I mean, lavender and magnesium together, it's like a little warm hug for your nervous system. So I just put in a scoop or two into the tub, slip in for 20 or 30 minutes, and I can literally feel my stress start to soak away. Now, I usually try and do this 2 or 3 times a week, typically at night before bed, because that signals to my brain that the workday is over, my mom duties are on pause, and it's just time for me to rest. If I feel a cold coming on, or I've had a really tough week of meetings or family chaos, I'll definitely add an extra soak during the week. And the best part is that this is super affordable. A giant bag of Epsom salts, I think it's like $6, or you can actually get a box at Costco. But the payoff for your health and your mindset, it's huge. So if you're a bath skeptic like I used to be, I want to challenge you. Go buy the bag of Epsom salts, light a candle, lock that bathroom door, and give yourself 20 minutes of quiet. Your body is doing so much for you right now. So give your body a chance to just be. All right, number 4 on our list is something that we all have, but we may not talk about it all that often. So, have you noticed lately that the reflection looking back at you in the mirror, maybe it doesn't look quite like you? Maybe you're seeing more fine lines around your eyes. I like to call those my smile lines because they're evidence of a life well lived. Or maybe it's lines on your forehead or around your mouth. As your estrogen levels start to take a dip in perimenopause, your skin kind of starts to lose that bounce and that tightness. It's thinner, it's drier, and sometimes it can feel like your pores are suddenly a lot more visible. Now, I personally am all about aging gracefully, but I also want to feel confident when I show up for my life. I want to look in the mirror and I want to feel like the vibrant, energetic woman that I am on the inside. For a long time, I thought my only options were to just deal with it, deal with all the wrinkles, or head to a med spa for Botox. And a little secret if you don't know this, if you've already got wrinkles, Botox doesn't make them disappear. It actually is really there to just stop the new ones from forming by freezing all the muscles in your face. Plus, that's a lot of time and a lot of cost. You're busy every day balancing your career and your family. So, when in the world do you have time to sit in a dermatologist's office where oftentimes they upsell you for like a really expensive serum? That doesn't work for me. So, I found a solution that has been a total game changer for my confidence and my skincare routine, and that's Retin A. So Retin A, or it's the generic of tretinoin, is the gold standard for midlife skin. What it does is it speeds up cell turnover, which is going to help you have more clear skin, and it can actually treat the texture by managing those fine lines and wrinkles that you start to see more of in perimenopause. But here's the love letter part of the story. I discovered that you can get it at Amazon Pharmacy, and this has saved me so much time and so much hassle. I already have a skincare line that I love, and I'm not looking to overhaul my routine. I just wanted that one powerhouse ingredient. But my insurance, probably like yours, it's not going to cover wrinkle cream. So I needed a way that was affordable and super convenient. So with Amazon Pharmacy, the process was really easy. I scheduled an online appointment through the portal. I think it was like $29. And I just had to take a few pictures of my face without makeup, and I sent those in. There was a provider who reviewed them, determined the right strength for my skin, and then sent me a prescription. I think it was $15. So there was no sitting in a waiting room, no like annoying upsells or sales pitches for fillers or Botox, and it didn't waste my time. And I have been using it every day for a couple of years, and I think the clarity of my skin has improved so much. But even more than that, it's that feeling of taking care of myself. It's that a minute or two at night when I'm putting on my skincare and I'm talking to myself in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, girl, let's see that glow. It just feels good. When you feel better about how you look, you tend to have a more positive outlook on the aging journey as a whole. So it's not about trying to look like you're 22 again, because we're not. It's about being the best, most confident version of you at 45 or 55 or however old you are today. So, if you've been frustrated with your skin, just know that you don't have to ignore it, and you also don't have to spend a fortune. Sometimes showing your body a little love is as simple as finding an easy product that makes you feel a little bit more like you again. All right, moving on to number 5, let's talk about a habit that is literally a dream come true for a busy, overscheduled woman like you. Talking about the 23-minute nap. Now, you're probably thinking, you know what, Ashley? A nap in the middle of the day? I don't have time for that. And maybe you're someone who avoids naps at all, because when you do finally lie down to rest, you wake up like 2 hours later and you feel like you have been hit by a truck. You're groggy, you're disoriented, you're like, oh my gosh, what time is it? And completely unable to fall asleep at night. But here's my secret for making a nap work for your midlife body. It's all in the timing. Now, as a mindset coach, I spend a lot of time talking about the nervous system. In perimenopause, our bodies are under a really unique kind of stress. Our hormones are fluctuating, our sleep is often disrupted by night sweats or thoughts that just race, and we carry a really heavy invisible load from our family and our career and our own health. So by the time 1 or 2 in the afternoon rolls around, you might be running on fumes. Instead of reaching for another cup of coffee, which is only going to spike your cortisol and mess up your sleep later, I am giving you permission to take a nap. Now, the reason I call it a 23-minute nap is because of the way our sleep cycles work. When you sleep, you kind of go through stages. So if you're going to sleep for 45 minutes or an hour, you're going to fall into REM sleep or REM cycle. But waking up from that is what really causes that groggy feeling. So if you set an alarm for exactly 23 minutes, you give your body just enough time to rest and reset your nervous system without falling into that deep phase of sleep. For me, the sweet spot is around noon or 1 p.m. So I don't go into my bedroom for this because if I crawl into my bed and lay on my pillow, my brain thinks we're settling in for the night. So instead, I curl up on the couch with a nice soft blanket and a cozy pillow. I set a timer on my watch and I close my eyes and I just let go. Even if you don't actually fall asleep, those 23 minutes of rest, quiet, and closed eyes, it is the nicest love letter to your brain. It allows your flight or fight response to kind of simmer down. And when that alarm goes off, you'll find that you have a fresh boost of energy to tackle the afternoon school run, the late day meetings, or whatever you need to do for dinner. This one is about recognizing that you are not a machine. You don't have to push through that exhaustion until you fall apart and break. Sometimes the most productive thing that you can do for your weight loss, your hormones, and your sanity is to just stop for 23 minutes and let your body catch its breath. All right, number 6 is a habit that I believe is one of the most underrated tools in our toolkit. We're going to talk about walking, but I want to introduce you to the concept of a silent walk. So, if you've been a listener of the Family Fork for a while, you will know that I am a huge advocate of walking. You have been told for years, for decades, that if you want to lose weight and you want to feel better, you need to go harder and faster and longer. And you've kind of been conditioned to think that if you aren't dripping in sweat and gasping for air on a treadmill, that your effort doesn't count. But in perimenopause and menopause, that really intense, high impact cardio, that can backfire. It places a huge amount of stress on a body that is already dealing with fluctuating hormones, and it can send your cortisol levels through the roof. And as we know, high cortisol is what contributes to stubborn belly fat and exhaustion. But walking, on the other hand, is like an anti-inflammatory exercise. It's going to support your cardiovascular system. It's going to help your digestion. It's also going to regulate your blood sugar. And it does all of this without taxing out your nervous system. But here's where I want to challenge you. When you head out for a walk, you immediately grab your earbuds. You're probably listening to a podcast, maybe even this one, catching up on a business call or calling family, or maybe you're just blasting music to try and change your mood. You're constantly consuming information, even though you're supposed to be resting. So I want to encourage you to plan 2 walks into your day, just like 15, 20 minutes each if you can. But for one of those walks, I want you to make it completely silent. No music, no podcast, no phone calls. This is the sweetest love letter to your nervous system. There is fascinating research showing that when we walk in nature and then intentionally take in our surroundings without the distraction of something playing in our earbuds, your brain waves shift. You move out of that like high alert state, you move away from the frantic thinking, and you move to a place where you can be more relaxed. Try using your walk as a sensory grounding exercise. I want you to look around and notice the colors of the rainbow. What do you see that's blue? It's not just the sky. How about your neighbor's front door? What do you see that's red? Notice the way the wind feels on your skin, or notice how the air smells after a rain, or the scent of the pine trees. When you allow your brain to wander and your eyes to take in the horizon, you're telling your body, you are safe, you are grounded, you are okay. Personally, I find that when I take these silent walks, I come back feeling so much more refreshed than when I'm trying to like multitask during my walk. My brain, it just feels more clear. And that frustration that I was feeling about my body or my slow progress, it kind of just diminishes. You might even realize that you are strong, you are moving forward, and you're part of something much bigger than your current hormonal struggles. So just try it tomorrow. Leave the phone in your pocket, or better yet, just leave it at home. I want you to walk and breathe and let nature do the heavy lifting for a little while. All right, last but not least, number 7. This one is probably my personal favorite because it requires zero physical effort. And it's probably one of the most effective ways to show your body and your brain some serious love. So I want you to schedule your Netflix or streaming binge sessions. Now, if you're a high achiever like me, you're probably thinking, Ashley, I have a mountain of laundry. I have 200 emails in my inbox, and I still haven't prepped lunches for tomorrow. I don't have time to sit and watch a show. I'm going to have to do this while I multitask. But here is what I have learned as a woman in menopause who has navigated really heavy health battles recently. In perimenopause and menopause, your brain is tired. And it's not just this like, I need a nap tired. You've been tracking everyone's schedules, managing everyone's emotions, and processing your own hormonal shifts all day long. Like, have you ever noticed at night, sometimes your brain, it just will not shut off. It keeps racing and like replaying conversations you had or worrying about things that you didn't take care of or that haven't even happened yet. So sometimes the kindest thing you can do for your nervous system is to give permission to fall into a different story, one that is not your own. So at night, my current favorite show is Grey's Anatomy. So every night from 8 to 9, this is my time. I have it blocked off, it's scheduled. And if you schedule it, you don't have to feel guilty because you can move it from like this guilty pleasure to it's my wellness priority. I have scheduled it. There's a real benefit to this kind of low effort, low impact escapism. It allows your thinking brain, the part of your brain that is always solving problems, to finally disengage and shut down. It's a way to turn down the volume on the stress of your life and just focus on something entertaining. And here is a pro tip. I want you to schedule this time and communicate that to your partner and your kids. You can say, from 8 to 9 at night, I'm off duty. This is my time to recharge. And what that does is that sets a boundary and it shows your family and you that your rest, it's just non-negotiable. And sometimes, if it helps, you can even pair this with your Epsom salt bath. I mean, Grey's Anatomy and a bath, that sounds like a double dose of relaxation. Whether it's a sitcom that makes you laugh, or a drama series that lets you cry, or even a documentary that is really interesting and fascinating, I just want you to find a show that you love and give yourself permission to enjoy it. You're not wasting time. It's actually allowing your nervous system to reset so that when you finally do put your head on the pillow, your brain is not still running a million miles a minute. All right, so let's take a deep breath. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the brain boosting power of creatine to the sweet joy of a chocolate dipped banana bite, an Epsom salt bath to having confidence with a better skincare routine. We've talked about the magic of that 23-minute nap and the grounding peace of a silent walk. And also just that intentional permission to check out for an hour with your favorite show. As we wrap up today, I want you to notice something. Not one of the things that we talked about today requires you to punish or judge your body. None of them involve grueling workouts or restrictive meal plans that leave you hungry and cranky. Everything that we talked about today is a form of restorative love. It's incredibly easy to spend your whole day feeling like your body is your enemy. It's easy to feel like your body is just falling apart because your energy is low or your joints ache or that favorite pair of pants, they don't button like they did a few months ago. But I want you to remember that your body, it's not the problem. Your body is just this like vessel that's trying to navigate a really major hormonal shift while you also carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. When you stop fighting your body and you start showing it a little bit of appreciation, even for the small things like that you had legs to carry you on a walk or a brain that managed to solve a complex problem at work, everything's going to start to change. Your stress will melt away, your cortisol levels get lower, and suddenly those bigger goals like losing weight or improving your gut health, they don't feel like such a big mountain to climb. You're no longer dragging your body towards health. You're actually working with it. So my challenge for you this week is to pick 2 of the things that we talked about today. Maybe you're going to order that creatine and you're going to schedule your 23-minute nap. Maybe you're going to buy the Epsom salts and then you're going to make the banana bites. But whatever you choose, I want you to do it with the intention of saying thank you to yourself and your body. And if you need a little extra help or some inspiration for those anti-inflammatory treats, remember to grab that anti-inflammatory snack guide that I've linked to in the show notes. It's just a really great start to showing your body love through nutrition without the stress of eating diet food. I am so proud of you and the work that you're doing. I get it, midlife. It is not easy, but you're doing it. You're doing it with grace and with strength, even on the days that you don't feel like it. So thank you for spending this time with me today. I would love to hear which of these 7 things you're going to try first. So come find me on Instagram and let me know, or send me an email. I really do love hearing from my listeners. Go forward this week, notice the thoughts that you have and get curious about your frustration, and then decide to show your body some love anyway. Your body will thank you. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Family Fork podcast. I hope today left you inspired and equipped with something tangible that you can put into action today. Remember, success is so much more than just gathering information. You have to put it into action. If this episode resonated with you, here's how you can help the show reach even more midlife moms. Hit follow, share it with a friend who's struggling in midlife too, and if you're feeling generous, leave us a review. Your thoughtful review helps other listeners discover these conversations when they need them the most. This show has become even more than I could have imagined, and it's because of loyal listeners like you who show up and share. You are helping to build this community and movement that will inspire midlife moms for years to come. For show notes, links, and resources, head to ashleymalik.com/podcast. Keep striving for the healthy, energized life that you deserve.